The story of Verdansk in Warzone is packed with decades of history, hidden secrets, and interwoven stories, but I'm going to take you through the entire story of Warzone in under 10 minutes, so let's break it down. The story of Warzone starts in 1833 when an unknown Russian royal family built a castle and founded the nearby city of Verdansk. However, after the fall of Russia's royal families in World War I, the Soviets transformed the castle into the infamous Gulag, a prison that would play a key role throughout history and house the worst villains in Call of Duty. We then fast forward to World War II, where Verdansk became a key battleground on the Eastern Front. As the Germans and Soviets clashed, Verdansk witnessed weeks of intense fighting, with the Germans eventually forcing the Soviets to retreat. The Germans turned Verdansk into a fortified stockpile, digging miles of underground tunnels to store bombs and ammunition, and these hidden explosives were meant for future use, but as the Soviets pushed back and the Allies advanced from the west, the German troops were recalled, leaving the bombs forgotten deep below the city. In 1968, not far from Verdansk, at Mount Yamantau, the sinister chapter in the city's history began to unfold. Frederick Steiner perfected both the deadly Nova gas formula and mind-altering numbers program at Mount Yamantau. And not long after this, Jason Hudson and Gregory Weaver would launch a covert mission to sabotage the base and uncover intel about a potential Nova gas attack on the United States. And their mission was a success, but the base itself was soon buried under an avalanche and its dark legacy sealed away for years, until it would come back to haunt Verdansk once more. In 1968, a few days after the initial attack, Jason Hudson, Gregory Weaver, and Russell Adler would lead an assault on Rebirth Island, located just off the coast of Verdansk. The mission was meant to capture the Nova gas manufacturing facility and take down Frederick Steiner. However, it failed. Steiner was killed by Alex Mason during the assault, and the mission took a disastrous turn when the Nova 6 gas was used on Rebirth Island. Meanwhile, Russell Adler, on the opposite side of Rebirth Island, interrogated a Soviet soldier named Stitch, going so far as to remove his eye for information. But the Russians had already anticipated the CIA's attack and had quietly transferred Nova gas from Rebirth Island and began stockpiling it in Verdansk, unknowingly setting the stage for chaos that would consume the city. Fast forward to the late 70s, and the Verdansk would be changed forever by an unlikely figure. After the chaos of Vietnam and Perseus' betrayal, Imre Zakhaev, under strict orders from the Soviet Union, hid the deadly Nova gas throughout Verdansk in secret locations. But there was a catch. He could not tell the Soviet High Command where he had stashed the gas, because the rogue agent Perseus had a mole high up in the ranks of the Soviet Union, leaking intel to him. Zakhaev would also oversee the construction of vast underground bunkers and missile silos in Verdansk, sheltering Soviet ICBMs with nuclear warheads. These weapons would lie dormant for years, waiting for the right time to resurface. Meanwhile, another piece of the puzzle fell into place. Stitch, a Soviet soldier imprisoned after his interrogation on Rebirth Island, was released and quickly became one of Perseus' most trusted operatives. We now jump to 1981, when Frank Woods and Alex Mason are sent to the Mount Yamantau base just north of Verdansk. They discover that Perseus had begun unearthing the site in an attempt to access valuable information hidden within the ancient computers buried deep in the base. And shortly after, the Soviet Union would seize control of the base from Perseus' agents and begin working to uncover what secrets remained, and discovering the like button down below, and I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button because it helps me out a lot. Anyways, in 1983, the rogue Soviet operative Perseus meets his end, but not before passing the torch to his trusted second-in-command, Stitch. And with Perseus gone, Stitch takes the reins of the Perseus organization, setting the stage for even more chaos in the future of Verdansk. In 1984, Verdansk was a symbol of strength in Kastovia, but everything changed when Stitch captured Russell Adler and brought him to Verdansk, turning it into the new Perseus organization's base of operations due to its proximity to Mount Yamantau. Stitch's agents broke into the mountain base and stole the numbers brainwashing program, but detonated a small-yield nuclear device to destroy the base when they left. They then successfully used the numbers to brainwash Adler and kept him sedated until Frank Woods rescued him. But the damage was done. With Adler under his control, Stitch began using Verdansk as his headquarters, brainwashing more and more people to spread his influence. But Stitch was unable to activate the command broadcast to activate his sleeper agents, as American satellites blocked his signal coming out of Verdansk. So Stitch orchestrated an operation to disable them, sending a brainwashed Adler to steal a satellite's internal drive and drop the satellites from the sky. With the satellites now gone, Stitch activated the numbers protocol, turning American soldiers in Verdansk into sleeper agents. But Adler wasn't completely under Stitch's control. His deep hatred for Perseus drove him to discover hidden World War II German munition tunnels beneath the city, and secretly planted timed bombs on them. And shortly after, Stitch discovered one of the underground munition stockpiles armed with a timed bomb. So Stitch hired an agent named Fuse to defuse the bombs, not realizing that Adler's betrayal ran deeper than he thought. And after Adler was freed from brainwashing, the team learned that every stockpile except for the one defused by Fuse in Verdansk had been rigged to explode and detonated. Woods, Adler, Hudson, and Mason return to Verdansk to stop Stitch and finish off his mission, and upon finding him, it's assumed that Adler shoots Stitch, but there was never any cutscene or proof of death, so Stitch's fate is still left uncertain. Over the next few years, as the Cold War came to an end, the Soviet Union, and later Russia, worked alongside the Americans to rebuild Verdansk, and even after the Soviet Union collapsed, both sides continued their efforts to restore the city, transforming it into a symbol of Eastern and Western unity. We then jump forward to April 6, 2019, when a group known as the Inner Circle attacked Verdansk because it was a symbol of unity between the East and the West. Led by figures like General Roman Barkov, Vladimir Makarov, Imran Zakhaev, and his son Viktor, it was Makarov leading the charge on this mission, and the attack started with a bomb threat at the Verdansk airport, but escalated quickly when they detonated an actual bomb at the Verdansk stadium. The nearby SAS unit, led by Captain Price and Soap McTavish, was deployed as they had been hunting Makarov for some time, and they tracked him down to an ambulance driven by the Inner Circle and caused it to crash, capturing Makarov. Upon extracting Makarov, he revealed that the airport bomb was actually the true target and was not a false flag. As the bomb went off, it caused massive damage and sent Verdansk into chaos. In the aftermath, many citizens fled the city, and the Russian government had to send in military forces to secure the Gulag and restore order to the city. By October 2019, Imran Zakhaev had reappeared, orchestrating the release of Russian prisoner Khalid al-Assad, and together these two planned to launch nukes at the United States to incite a war between Russia and the US. But before Zakhaev could execute his plan, he died mysteriously of either old age or sickness, leaving his son Viktor to take up his father's cause. And on March 3, 2020, al-Assad, now leading the terrorist organization Al-Qatala, launched a full-scale invasion of Verdansk, supplied by Viktor Zakhaev. Al-Assad's forces quickly devastated the city, attacking key locations, including the airport and the stadium, again. The invasion was brutal, however, and many civilians and Russian soldiers were executed. In the following days, a joint task force of Russian and American special forces united to free Verdansk from Al-Qatala's grip. However, al-Assad had seized the Nova 6 gas stockpiles that Imran Zakhaev had previously hidden, and he released the toxic gas into Verdansk, causing chaos as it spread. Al-Assad, with his mission complete, was then sent back to Urzikstan, but his forces continued to receive funding from Imran Zakhaev and the Zakhaev arms family, prolonging the conflict. Not long after, Ghost is deployed to investigate why you haven't hit the subscribe button down below yet, and also find out why the armistice operators had turned on each other. Task Force 141 quickly arrived to stabilize the situation, but they learned that Viktor Zakhaev had gained access to hidden nuclear silos beneath the city. So Captain Price rushed to the silo to confront Viktor Zakhaev as he attempted to launch a nuclear missile. And after a tense battle, and Captain Price literally yeeting Zakhaev off the missile silo, Captain Price disarmed the missile, preventing disaster. But Task Force 141, along with other special operatives, managed to retake control of Verdansk, and afterwards the Russian government took command of the region again, placing Makarov in a secure cell in the Gulag as punishment for his role in the city's original destruction. Next, we see events take a different turn. While the zombies outbreak and nuclear bombing of Verdansk were major events in the Warzone storyline, they are considered non-canon. So we're going to continue on with the true canonical story. On November 10th, 2023, the former members of the Inner Circle, now operating as the Kony Group, which was originally General Barkov's mercenary army, broke into the Verdansk Gulag and freed Vladimir Makarov. And this marked Makarov's return, and with it, a new phase of chaos in Verdansk. One of the things that's notable is if you look out from the prison during this operation, you can actually spot the fully undestroyed skyline of downtown Verdansk and the stadium still intact, hinting that the city is not yet done with its destruction. You can spot the fully undestroyed skyline of downtown Verdansk and the stadium still intact, hinting that the zombie outbreak was not real, and also telling us that the destruction of the city is not yet done with. After his breakout, Makarov wasted no time and set his sights on revenge. The very next day, he launched 2 short-range missiles, each armed with Nova 6 gas, at the Arklov military base in Verdansk, and the missiles struck with deadly precision, decimating the base's defenders and sending a clear message. Makarov is back, and he is willing to do whatever it takes to regain his power. 5 days later, Makarov escalated his plan by sending some soldiers to plant Nova 6 gas canisters inside the Gora Dam's water supply, and at the same time, his operatives would also plant explosions on the dam, preparing to flood Verdansk. The resulting explosion would have submerged the city and poisoned the water supply for months, triggering an even greater catastrophe. However, Ghost and Soap were quickly deployed to stop Makarov, infiltrating the dam and managing to disarm the bomb and remove the gas canisters, preventing a citywide disaster. The threat was stopped, but Verdansk remains on edge. a ticking time bomb. But the biggest question remaining is how Call of Duty will tie the story of Black Ops 6 and their integration set in the 90s with the return of classic Verdansk. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts, so drop them in the comments down below. Till next time, I'm Iceburgz, stay frosty.